Hello, everyone. Good morning. Well, I'm very always proud to be here, and especially with a lot of teachers. We always say in NDO, we admire teachers with all our hearts because teachers put so much work into our community, and without teachers, none of us will be here today. So it is truly an honor to be here today and just have a small conversation with Datuk Nicol about what made her a champion, what made her become that legend in our nation. But to go back in history, Nicol, if I may, can you start sharing with us how did it all begin? Like, how did you pick up the sport of squash?
Well, yeah, again, thank you so much for having us here today, and to all the teachers here. It's great to see all of you. It all really started when I was a little kid in Penang, growing up in a family where my dad was a former athlete himself, playing for Malaysia in football as a goalkeeper. And my mom was an English teacher, and as you can see, sports and education was always embedded in my life from a very young age. So that's how it all began. And with that, you have that encouragement from both parents to just go and do whatever you want to do. So when I was 5 years old, there was a public squash center that was built in Penang. And at the time, nobody knew about squash. It was really a sport that was played in private clubs. So my dad took the initiative to get my sisters, two older sisters and I, to play squash. And I fell in love with the game. You know, it was so much fun. I could play with my sisters. My parents were also playing as a family. And then it was just, we call it love at first sight. So yeah, I started to train as an 8-year-old with more training with my sisters, and I got better and better at it. And I saw myself getting faster, stronger, and fitter. And before you know it, I was beating my sisters because that was my benchmark. I'll beat my sisters, and then I became Penang #1. Then I wanted to become Malaysia's #1. And then eventually Asia #1. When I was 14 years old, I won my first Asian senior title. And then it spurred me on to do more. And I got to become world junior champion at 15 years old. And I was the first female athlete to win a world title for the country. So yeah, and that's where it all began, and I think that pushed me forward. And my parents were the ones that actually gave me the support to move out of Malaysia and to fulfill my dreams when I was 18, and to go to Amsterdam to train with my coach Liz Irving, and that's when my transition just switched from being a young junior player to become a professional squash player. And when I was 22 years old, I became world #1 and world champion, and I never looked back.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take the claps too. Just as a curiosity, because the Asian mindset is very driven by education, like straight A's, university. How did you manage to have that conversation with your parents? Because you were a straight A student, to then tell them, I'm not going to university, I'm going to be a professional squash player. How did you manage that conversation?
It was not easy because, you know, every family in Malaysia in particular wants to see their child going after SPM to university. And my dream was to just be a top squash player and to be the best in the world. And I told my parents that, okay, I'm gonna do a little bargain. If I go and train and play professionally for 1 year, and I give it a shot, and if I do well, I will continue to play in the pro tour. But if I don't do well, I will go back to study in university. So my parents were like, okay, it's not a bad deal. So I took that on. And at 17, I went over to play the pro tour, and I got to top 16 in the world in a short period of time, and they were kind of convinced that I had some potential to push further. And when I was, then the second year, I wanted to get further. And the only way to do it is to leave the country and to have my parents, when I convinced my parents that I wanted to move, it was very tough for my parents. I mean, having my mom being a teacher, my dad knowing that education is so important, but they knew that this opportunity doesn't come very often. When you have a talented athlete in your family, my dad didn't have that chance to pursue his sporting career, but he gave me that opportunity to go and fulfill mine. So that's where I think my parents' support was so crucial in this turning point of my life to make that happen. And they got a lot of criticism when I moved out of the country and to not go to university. They always got the questions, why are you letting your daughter go? Aren't she supposed to have an education? But they just said, no, she had so much talent. This is the best that we can do as parents to support our child. And I think without that, I wouldn't be here talking about all my journey. So I really owe it to my parents to believe that I could do so much more, and that belief paid it off, and I could give 100% in my squash journey. And I'm so privileged that they took on those criticism, and now they've seen me become who I am today.
And since we're talking about teachers, and we say sport is a teacher, we say this a lot, but what role did teachers, since we are with this beautiful teacher community, what role did teachers and also maybe your coach played in making you a champion?
You know, we all grow up remembering all our teachers in school, and I'm one of the few that always remember my teachers, but also my coaches. I had a female coach growing up. Her name is Miss E. Pui Hoon, and she was our true mama bear in the state team, but she created a family. And I think that environment that you grow up in, when you have that positive environment, that energy that they are just encouraging you all the time, you get that from your coaches, but also your teachers. My teachers were always there to support me. I was competing overseas, and they knew that I was always away, but they always took time to give me my notes, to help me if I needed any assistance. And you just remember them because they were always there to support you and nothing more. So even in my career, my coach Liz, she was a true mentor to me, and she was the leader that I wanted to be like her. She knew how to manage my emotions. She knew how to guide me the right way. She didn't actually put any barrier or any negativity. All she saw was the potential that I had, and she enhanced that potential. She saw that I had so much to give and so much to do, that she was there to guide me the right way to tap onto that potential and go further. So like teachers, we are just there to fulfill the potential of your students. And that's where I felt that when I was in school, I always felt that my teachers were there to support me, but not to pressure me, not to put any burden on me, and my coaches as well. So they were always the best teachers in my life, and if I haven't had that support from my coach, I wouldn't understand what it takes to get to the next level, and to feel that comfort and the support and security that I had throughout my 16 years with Liz. My coach was with me for 16 years, and we knew each other from when I was 18 till I retired. So you can just tell that we just had that connection. And I think when teachers have that connection with their students, they know that they can do so much more. So yeah.
Nicol, and you achieved probably what, and I say it all the time, what no one has achieved in history. You were world number 1 for 108 consecutive months. So that is 9 years straight. Making you the first Asian woman to achieve this. And just to give you an idea of squash is a very English sport, Australian sport. I don't want to say anything racist, but it's very white sport. So Nicol was the only Asian woman to break that barrier, and you have 8 world titles to your name, 81 titles as a professional, and you must have had immense pressure. And in our daily lives as teachers, as educators, pressures come and go all the time. How did you manage the emotional pressure of being in the top and to sustain in the top for so long?
Well, I always had pressure. Ever since I was young, I was always competing for the country. I was always out there to perform and to be the best. And at 14 years old or 15 years old, I needed to have the right support. And it was tough because you don't know what to do or how to manage it. But I knew if I had the right support team and the right the right people around me, it does make a big difference. So my parents were the best support system that gave me the encouragement and positive environment. And my teams, when I was also competing, my coach, I had a strong connection with my sports psychologist, my physical trainer, my physio. We were all on the same page, having that positive mindset, not thinking of anything else but to make sure I'm on the right track. And also, when I was younger, I had a mental trainer, which is a sports psychologist, that taught me how to minimize the negativity around you, and that's where pressure comes. When we are focused on negative thoughts, when we are looking at the expectations of what we need to do, how do we need to perform, how do we have to give to our kids in school, that becomes something negative. But instead, how do we turn those things around? And that was a daily practice for me. My sports psychologist will say, try to turn things around straight away. When you have a negative thought, when you have something doubtful, like, oh, I can't get through this day, today is too tough. But then turn it around straight away and say, oh, but I've done so much work, I can get through this. I can do this. And I know if I can get through this day, I've already done so much to achieve what I've achieved. So pressure was always there. It's how to manage it. But at the same time, don't feel guilty to look out for yourself, to be kind to yourself and take time for yourself. So I used to have only my squash, but I needed to do something else to get myself away from that pressure of the expectation and do something I love doing, which is my passion is dancing, or hip-hop dancing, not so much like classical, but it was just basic. And I would just love it because it's still active. I'm moving, but I'm taking my mind away from all the pressures, but I'm enjoying myself. So find time for yourself, to look after yourself, and also just enjoy something else so that you can put enough time into what you are there to do in your work. So that's how I separate the two. So my team, but also looking after myself.
But every beautiful story has an ending, right? Mm-hmm. And after 20 years competing, you decided to hang up your racket. Can you walk us through of that moment when you had to retire from the sport that identified you for all your life?
Yeah, sorry. When it comes to that point, it gets louder, right? No, but it was a very tough time for me. You don't feel that you need to stop. Of course, everyone tells you that there's a moment in your life as an athlete that there's an expiry date and you cannot go further. And that's because as athletes, we can only go to a certain point younger than other professions. So we need to prepare ourselves for that. But no one tells you how to do it. And when that time came, it was very difficult to face that I have to retire eventually. So I had a tournament in 2017, and I was already going down the rankings. I was probably top 8 at the time, and my coach was the one that recognized that I needed to ask that tough question. And she asked me after a match in the US Open where I lost quite early on, and she asked me, you don't look like yourself. Do you still want to keep playing squash? and do you want to continue? And I was like, of course, I will be playing this for a long time. Like, it'll be 5 more years, I'll definitely be playing this game. And she said, no, just take a moment and really ask that question honestly. And the minute I took that question and gone back to the hotel afterwards, I really had a hard time to recognize that it was the moment that I have to tell myself, yes, it's over, and I only have 2 years left. And it was really emotional because it's really a breakup from my squash, from my life. And I had to let go of squash. And at that moment, it took me that 2 years to really get out of it, going through the emotional turmoil of losing my identity of being number one in the world, being that squash player that everybody knows that you are. How do I transform myself to be something else, or to believe that I can do something more? And that was tough. The first year was just letting it go, but the minute I started to let go, and I got to meet different friends, people like Mariana when I was also training in Colombia, people that have not really been in my life but sees me as something so much bigger that I can do after my squash journey, to point out that I had all these talents, I had all these values and all the learnings that I've gotten from squash, to bring it into my next phase of life. And then I started believing, and I started to open my mind to the opportunity to learn, to just start learning to prepare myself for what's to come. And that's where I got like the skills to maybe learn how to speak better, or to do PowerPoint, which I always say that I never knew how to do PowerPoint at 30 plus. Who needed to do PowerPoint as a squash player? But I had to learn bit by bit, because I now feel that I had the opportunity to grow as something more than just an athlete. So that when I retired, it was the best moment of my life, because I was ready. I was ready to take on the next phase and to then do what I'm doing now, which is my foundation.
And tell us a bit.
Thanks.
And tell us a bit about your foundation, and especially your efforts that now you're going to work with public schools primarily, and teachers. So tell us a bit about that.
So the foundation really started because my idea of giving back was always at the back of my mind, because squash gave me so much in my life, of 20 years of my life, and I saw how much the country has given me, and I want to give that back. So the real reason why this foundation came about is that I wanted a positive future for our next generation, and I wanted to use sport as a vehicle to bring that forward, to develop values for life. And so the Nicol David organization, we both Mariana and myself, we founded it in 2022, almost 4 years ago. And the real objective is to empower communities through sport, education, and mental well-being. So we actually started off with just one flagship, but now we have 3 pillars that we are focused on. The first one is for children, which is our Little Legends program, and we give an after-school program with squash training and English classes for children, and we currently have about 150 kids in the program. We have a second pillar for families, which is we have a mothers program called Ibu Legends, and we give mothers a chance to have workshops for mental health and also financial literacy. But our big program, which is happening this year, which we launched in April, is called Positive Play, and it's our outreach program for schools. Because my whole dream was to actually get, you wanted to use squash before, to go to every single school in Malaysia and to have squash in their school. But since squash is not as accessible or easy to implement in schools, why not get kids moving? Why not get kids active? Because the inactivity rate is so high right now. It's 80% of youth in Malaysia are inactive. And we have 33% of youth right now is overweight or obese. And 6 out of 10 children are actually suffering mild to severe depression. And that's where it becomes a critical point where we need to address this issue fast. And hence why we got this Positive Play program where we combine physical activity and positive psychology in one program. So they will have 4 lessons, and they will do once a week. We go to schools, and then we conduct the lessons in school. And then we will have a first half will be physical activity, so fundamentals of moving, running, speed, endurance, just playing games, having fun playing games with friends. And then the other half is positive psychology. How do we learn to think positive? Thinking about gratitude, making the right choices, or just simple things like breathing techniques. How do we calm ourselves in those situations? So we can if we combine the two, it helps these kids to be active, but at the same time have the tools to manage their mental health. And we've seen the response that they have actually gained confidence in their self-perception. They've also increased their activity rate as well. And they're just confident kids. They just are happier kids. That's what we want to see. If they are healthy and happy in school, then you have better students in school. So that's where we have now reached 30 schools in Kuala Lumpur, and we have already tapped on 1,000 children in our program just on this year alone. And we hope to reach even further in this program. And the only way to do it is to have teachers to also continue our course. So we will start having a teacher training, which is called Positive Play Cikgu. That will happen very soon. We'll be sharing more about that. But teachers are the ones that will be changing that culture, to be the agents of change. And that's where the culture continues to grow, to be active teachers and active students.
So Nicol, just to close, I want to ask you one final question, okay? Give me the 2 things a teacher you believe makes the best teacher.
The 2 things that makes the best teacher is a healthy teacher and a happy teacher. So to be healthy, I just want all your teachers here to remember yourself first before you give. Because all of you teachers give so much to your students, so much to maybe some of your families and the people around you. And you don't give yourself enough chance to look after for yourself first. So take care of yourself. Make sure the 3 things for your health to just look out for: rest, sleep. Because we've done some surveys with our teachers that you all don't get enough sleep. You all get like 5, I heard, yes, not enough sleep. And so you're getting 5 hours, 6 hours a day. So please look after your rest, because that is so important to re-energize, to get back on track for the next day. The second thing is to move. Just do some movement. You don't have to do too much, but at least make a point to move, be a bit active, and also get another teacher friend to join you. You don't do it alone. Do it with someone or with your family. And the third thing is just changing your eating habits, because we are so easy to go into something fast, and that's the easiest thing. Or just drink more water. Like, change your sweet tea ice or your coffee ice, and then maybe change it to water. Those small things can make a big difference. So just 3 things for your health. But also just happy teachers is to make sure you all have fun, enjoy your time. Go back to the hobbies that you like, whether it's art, whether it's dancing, singing, going out, shopping, I don't know, but something that just takes you out of being a teacher, and just look after yourself. Just that time. And I think those 2 things will make you a great teacher. And then everything takes over. You all are great teachers already. It's just how are you going to preserve yourself to be good for others around you. So I know for a fact that I've seen my mom as a teacher. She gave so much. And my 2 older sisters are also teachers too. And they give so much to their family and to their kids, and also to their school kids. But they always make a point to look out for themselves eventually. And I always remind them, please find time for yourself. And then they laugh about it, and they go, yeah, they need to find those moments, because it takes a lot out of you. So don't underestimate what you're giving, because I've seen firsthand how much it takes on board, but yeah, you all are amazing, and I just want to applaud the teachers here and everyone here for all the amazing work that you do for us as students and your students as well.
Okay, so to wrap up, Nicole, your message to teachers is healthy teachers makes happy teachers.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this chat.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if we had left, sorry, if anyone wanted to ask a question. I don't know
Yes,
if I
yes.
I don't know if I ran through. Okay. Sorry.
Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, ada soalan ke untuk Datuk Nicol ataupun Mariana? Boleh angkat tangan. Questions on the floor? Okay.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, Datuk.
Hello.
I'm Jared from Sarawak.
Oh, wow, nice. Just came back from Kuching 3 weeks ago, yeah.
Nice. Go to other parts of Sarawak, especially rural places.
Yeah, I was in Samarahan, yes.
Not too rural, but
Yeah.
but you are welcome to come to some of our more rural places. I think one thing I like to point out is I think many of us come from privilege, and I say this as someone who has been in a rural school for 6 years, and I know the conversation about education is usually not had at the dinner table. And you come from a family of teachers, and despite that, they encourage you to pursue sports. I think that is privilege. However, some of our students may not have such access to such conversations. And I've also seen the benefit of education, how it promotes social mobility, how in one generation a rural family can transform from using kerosene lamps to, in one generation, working as teachers. Some of us here actually may not come from that kind of, so my question to you. So what do you tell yourself when you are under pressure? You did mention that your sports psychologist told you to think positive. I believe being a world champion 9 years straight, can you walk us through what you tell yourself so that I in turn can tell the students what they can tell themselves when they lack money, when they lack access, but they still want to study? Thank you.
Well, thanks for the question, and I'm really happy that you're here to share that journey in Sarawak. For me, I felt that when I tell myself is I have different things. So when I'm in a moment where I have 5 things when I'm under pressure and I'm playing a match in the game, I would tell myself to keep going, stand tall, and just focus on one thing, whether it's the ball or something that will keep me focused on the task. Because there's so many things that's happening, I just focus on these few pointers that keeps me on the right page. And that's during the match. But when I'm feeling down, or when I'm under pressure, or when I'm not at my best, I always also talk to someone. It's not just me having to always turn things around. I always also have to speak up, talk to my coach, talk to someone that I feel comfortable speaking to, and whether it's a family member or a friend, it helps to just point out that I don't feel my best or something is not going well, and that some support, just saying out loud is just assuring that something needs to be done, and you feel that, but then you find that when you write things down, which I do a lot, if you write something down, like, okay, I don't feel my best, what is the sentence to replace it? I will remind myself, I've worked really hard, I've come this far, and I want to keep going on because I can do it. Those things, and then everybody has something different. I can tell you maybe something that I use that will work, but maybe a kid or yourself may have a different sentence that will just get you back on track or gets you going through those pressure situations. So find those replacement words from the negative to turn it around the positive. And that's what we are doing with our Positive Play program, where we help our kids to huddle together, and then we give scenarios of something negative, like, oh, you know, I'm not good at math. And then we replace it, like, but I can keep trying and learn, and I will get better. So, and then we'll have another sentence, oh, you know, that kid is, you know, being tough on me. And then I said, but I know I myself worth, and I know I can keep on striving to become a stronger kid. So those are the things that we are teaching kids in our Positive Play program, and then they do it as a group to then encourage each other, and then they get more comfortable talking about it out loud or talking to their friends. So I hope that is a little bit of something that I answered your question, but that is some things that I use as the tools to get myself back.
Maybe we can get one more question from the floor. One more question? None?
Anyone on this side? We all come all the way from all over Malaysia.
Okay, one straight.
Okay.
Hi, Nicol. So, I've gone up to that level of corporate, and I've had clients who are at the top of their games, and I always hear of them having imposter syndrome. Have you ever had any imposter syndrome, and how do you deal with it?
All the time. I think it's always the fact that you feel like you have to be someone that everyone is looking at you to become. Like, and that happened at a very young age, where you are a world champion at a junior level, and people expect you to be the role model for students already, for kids that are looking up to you. Oh, you are 15 years old, but you are Malaysia's #1 world junior champion. You have to portray something. So I always had to, that was always in me, like the imposter syndrome it was real. And I had to feel that I need to be something more. So I learned very young that I had to just be ready for that and just take on the challenge. And sport helped me to do that and overcome those moments where I can do it. If I can break through and train so hard and get to where I can be, those things actually take over. I can actually be the person that I should be. And then as I grew older, I became more myself. So when I speak or when I meet people, I believe that I am who I am and not feel that I'm less. Because you always feel that it's not enough. So even being #1, being world champion at 22, and I kept going on, being 8-time world champion, I always felt it was not enough. So the thought of it sometimes projects in the way I speak or whoever I meet, but I always have to come out of that mode. That imposter syndrome is very real, and I had to come out of that and remind myself that I have achieved all those things, and I have gone through those moments where it's so tough, but I got through it. So yeah, it's tough. I still have those moments. It's not easy, and I'm an introvert, so it's even harder. But I know that I've got through so much that it will take me through. So yeah, everybody's gonna go through it one way or another. It's how we just turn it around for the better and to make the most of it.
Thank you, Datuk, for the answer. Thank you, Datuk Nicol and Mariana, for that truly inspiring and powerful session. A reminder that leadership and resilience begin with heart, purpose, and belief. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are thrilled to mark the next milestone for this journey. Up next, we will be witnessing the signing of Memorandum of Understanding MOU between Pemimpin and the Nicol David Organization NDO, a partnership dedicated to championing mental health, sports, and well-being among teachers and students. Through this collaboration, both organizations aim to create spaces where educators and young people can thrive not just academically, but emotionally and holistically. May I now invite to the stage Puan Sri Maimun Arif Patel, Board Member of Pemimpin, and Mr. Samuel Isaiah, Executive Director of Pemimpin. We now invite the signatories to proceed with the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give big round of applause of Pemimpin and the Nicol David Organization for coming together to place well-being at the heart of education. This collaboration celebrates the power of purpose, partnership, and passion, values we've seen shine throughout today's session.